Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our council meeting from Monday, 27th of June, 2022. For this meeting commences, I would like to bring up the motion without notice in regards to there have been changes in the declaration from the LGA as to how we perform our meetings. And so firstly, I will require support from the council for us to continue to live stream and record this ordinary council meeting, as well as special meetings, briefings, and relevant committee meetings. So moved. Yeah, I just want to give a bit of background first. From this, from beginning of the recordings, we have conducted 5 ordinary council meetings, 6 special council meetings, and 11 council meetings virtually. There's been approximately 100 public views of the recorded council meetings. The live streaming and recording of the council meetings has been successful, transparent tool, keeping the community of the engaged in council activities throughout the public health emergency declaration. The recommendation is, as is on the screen, as the public health emergency declaration is now ceased, and given the success of live streaming and recordings of 22 council meetings, council endorsed the continuation of live streaming and recording of council ordinary meetings, special briefings, and relevant committee meetings, as I have said. Councillor Knox has moved this recommendation, and Councillor Marshall is seconding it. Thank you. All right, thank you. I'll ask for a show of hands. All those in favour? Yes, that is carried. Thank you. Right. So we are now approved to commence our normal council meeting. So I would like to acknowledge that this meeting is held on Bangala land, and we give thanks for the use of this land. Almighty God, we humbly beseech thee to grant thy blessings upon the works of this council, to direct and prosper its deliberations, to the advancement of the city, and for the true and lasting welfare of the people of this municipality. I will now ask that we all stand while I read the obituary notices. Thank you, and ask to remain standing for a minute's silence. I'd like to acknowledge Anne Warnock, Maria Burkett, Phyllis Jacobs, Valerie Duval, David Nielsen, Theo Harris Papadontis, Robert Franklin, Elwyn Davies, John Mackenzie, Malcolm Carpenter, Margaret Grosier, Brendan Flanagan, Ian Saunders, Judith Siegman, Val McGearing, Kenneth Bowl, Margaret Bolger, Jacqueline Tree, Jeffrey Turnbull, Trevor Harvey, Michael Scanlon, Kenneth Benford, Bruce Brattenberg, Kelvin Rodder, Helen Smith, Michael Irvine, Joy Stevens, and William McEwen. Okay, you may be seated. Thank you. Thank you for that. Item 4, attendance records. We have 2 apologies tonight. Councillor Westerman and Councillor Tammy Pont. And just for the acknowledgement of the chamber, that even if councillors are watching this virtually because of their inability to attend in person, they are not able to participate in any voting or in any way in regards to this meeting. Item 5, we've got declarations of members' conflicts of interest. Councillors, do any of you have any you'd like to declare for tonight's meeting? Okay, no, there are none. Thank you. Item 6, minutes of the previous meeting. The recommendation is there. Read that, Councillor Knox. Thank you. That will be seconded, Councillor Stupos. No discussion or thank you. I'll ask for show of hands. All those in favour? That's carried. Item 6.2, minutes of the special council meeting on the 30th of May 2022. Recommendation is there. Councillor Stupos is moving and Councillor Simpson is seconding. Thank you. Okay, so no discussion or debate. Can I have a show of hands? All those in favour? Thank you. That is also carried. Right. Item 7, deputations and presentations. We have nil this evening. Thank you. Item 8, petitions. There are nil. Item 9, 9.1, the matters adjourned or deferred, just the resubmission of the former Whyalla building. Item 10, public question times. We do not have any this evening. Thank you. Okay, go to item 11, elected members' activities. They are up on the screen and I will ask while they are being read if anyone would like to mention any specific items that they have attended, events I should say. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. If I can make just 4 brief comments. All congratulations. The official opening of the Whyalla Art Group Autumn Exhibition. I really do congratulate the organisers there for another superb arrangement of artworks. Excellent crowd on a very cold night, so it was to be congratulated. They are to be congratulated for that. Then the BHP Tandera Singleman's Hostel 80th celebrations. You were there as well. Congratulate everybody involved there. Superb, and the cake was nice. Not that I go out for cake, but really do want to congratulate the organisers there. And then also the 100th birthday celebration of local resident Roman Powell, which we went to straight after Tandera. Some excellent cake there as well. Don't go for the cakes, but well known for his work and his past time for many, many years as a member of various brass bands in Whyalla. So congratulations there. And the final one I'd like to specifically mention is the 40th anniversary celebration of the Filipino Cultural Association, which I attended on behalf of council. And I've always known that group of people for all the years that they know how to enjoy themselves, how to have a great night, and they put on a fantastic show. So the organisers and everybody that participated, certainly a special congratulations. It was a superb night. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Simpson.
Yeah, I attended the opening of the day in the Big Island Lodge and was treated like a king. It was absolutely wonderful. Shook about 400 hands. And they just made you feel so well. Wonderful.
Excellent. And thank you for that. And thank you to both Deputy Mayor and also Councillor Simpson for participating on my behalf on a couple of those events. So thank you. Well done. Right, if there's no other special mentions, but we thank everyone for their attendances over the past month. Thank you, councillors. So on to item 12. Sorry.
Just through the Mayor, just want to confirm that I could have a potential perceived conflict of interest in relation to this item.
Yes, yes.
The performance review. However, it's procedural by nature.
Yes.
To leave if necessary, but indicate that I'll plan to stay in.
I'm happy to accept that. Thank you. Thank you. Right, so 12.1.1, CEO's Media Review Panel Meeting. So the recommendation is there. Would someone like to move that recommendation? Councillor Knox, thank you. Councillor Simpson, thank you. Okay, that is read and straightforward, thank you. Okay, ask for a show of hands. All those in favour?
The minutes.
For minutes, just a recommendation. So ask for a show of hands. All those in favour? Thank you. It has been moved and seconded. Thank you.
Can I please ask a question?
Yes, you can.
When is the workshop for the yams to be held?
That will be,
We're aiming for the 11th.
yeah, there was a couple of dates, so yeah. Thank you for that, Sue. Right, so there was a movement second, and I did see a show of hands, and that is carried. Thank you. Right, item 13. 13.1.1, the CEO's action report. Justin, did you want to speak to that or take that as read?
Take it as read, man.
Thank you. Okay. Would someone like to move that? Councillor Stupos. Seconded Deputy Mayor Stone. Thank you. Right, I'll ask for a show of hands. All those in favour? Councillor Marshall. Yes, you may ask a question.
With the Chow Energy one, is that just going to be taken off now? Because obviously they've just not responded for such a long time, and correspondence being sent to them, the extension of lease won't be granted. So will that come off the next minutes?
Yes, through the mayor, yes, it will. We've written to them indicating that we don't intend to extend it. If they come back and wish to debate or argue or take legal action against council for damages or something like that, we'll obviously have to deal with it matter then. But at this point in time, we believe that has concluded our negotiations with our energy.
Right, thank you. Okay, so if there are no more questions, ask for a show of hands. All those in favour? That's carried. Thank you. Page 30, 30.1.2, economic development strategy. Now, I would say that we take that as being read. We have gone through that quite extensively. Are you moving that, councillor? Oh, no, those.
Okay, having a vision is a good thing. But since when have we decided we'd have a Greco-Roman amphitheatre on Hummock Hill, which ignores the heritage considerations of the buildings already on Hummock Hill? I don't think we should have that there in that photograph. I think it should be taken off completely. Also on page 39, unless I've read it incorrectly, I'll just go to page 39. We've got 163 million gross regional product, and down the bottom we've got gross regional product 1.16 billion. We just need to be consistent.
Through the mayor, respond to both those. Happy to remove the amphitheatre off the front cover. It's an idea, but one that, as you've indicated, has got some issues. So with that, and in relation to our regional gross domestic product, yes, it should be 1.1 from memory, so it should be consistent. So we'll.
Thank you. Are you seconding it, Deputy Mayor?
No, Madam Mayor, I was pushing the button for the same reason as my learned councillor over there. Not only do I want the amphitheatre removed, I want the overlaid images of the seaplane and the helipad. Discussed these before. They might be imaginative, they might be something of the future. But if we have to put those on the document of this nature to sell, we got problems. I want to see a genuine photo. Thank you.
Through the mayor, I know that some councillors have got reservations about the volatile aircraft, the electric vertical lift aircraft. They are a thing. There are actually companies that are already contacting the City of Whyalla looking to bring such devices to our region. If you think about the opportunities within our region with passenger transfer between Whyalla, Augusta, Port Pirie, Port Lincoln, etc., they could in time be a very cost efficient and effective way of actually or commuting people around our region. Whilst I know there are some reservations about that as an opportunity, it is real, and I can certainly provide evidence to councillors to indicate that we've already had a number of companies already contact Whyalla to that effect. In relation to the seaplanes, if you think about what we're trying to achieve with the marina, with an international hotel, potentially discovery centre in line with the master plan ambition and vision for the foreshore marina. Seaplanes, again, whilst they may not be conceived as viable at this point in time, when you think about 10 or 15 years, they could very well be viable. So I accept fully the council, Deputy Mayor's reservation about having those on the front cover. If I can also add, when we actually put this document, I think that was a draft plan at that time, in front of a number of federal government ministers, they actually commented, one of them specifically, about the seaplanes. And as she flicked through, I saw her actually stop and look at the electric vertical, sorry, the drone type passenger transport. So whilst it's not something that's going to happen in the short term, I think it is something that we should definitely explore and pursue in terms of the benefits that it will deliver our region going forward.
Deputy Mayor.
I think I say, Madam Mayor, I'm a stickler on that one, I'm afraid. The future may be. This is a photo of the now.
So I'll respond to that.
Yes.
It's not meant to be a photo of now, it's actually meant to be a photo of the future and what we actually have to achieve.
It's a vision.
It's a long term. It's
Yeah.
long term.
The economic development strategy has got a 10-year horizon, and we did obviously use a base image of the existing foreshore, but the intent was to start to look at what the future might be, not what it is now.
Councillor Marshall.
That was going to be my question. However, is there an acknowledgement that that picture is?
That could be added into a long-term vision.
Just that there is some little bit down the bottom, it's to say this is a visionary.
If there was an asterisk somewhere,
Can arrange
this is our vision, then
I can do that. Thank you for that feedback, councillor, so that can be arranged. Okay, so CEO is aware of those minor instructions. That will be updated in the final copy. But apart from that, the overall, we have recommendation there. Would someone like to move it? Thank you, councillor Knox and councillor Stewboss seconded. Thank you. Show of hands, all those in favour? That's carried. Thank you. Right, we will now move on to 13.2 corporate services. Yeah. We've got the 13.2.1, the records management policy report. Would you like to speak to that at all, Justin?
No, I think it's pretty straightforward. It's written.
Thank you. So the recommendation of that, are you moving it, councillor Marshall? Thank you, councillor, and seconded councillor Simpson. Thank you. Discussions or debate, ask for a show of hands. All those in favour? Excellent, that's carried. Right, 13.2.2, the monthly budget report on page 89. Recommendation is there. Will any of the staff choose to speak to that? We'll take that as read. As per normal. Yeah. Thank you. Is there any questions? Yeah, councillor Stewboss, I'll allow that.
I'm just having a look at the outstanding rates for the 2022 year, sitting at 622,000. What do you recommend are they at the 30th of June? Same figure or?
That figure will come down. It comes down monthly. I did have after the last meeting, and there was a question about rates outstanding. I actually looked at where basically at almost exactly the same level as last financial year as at the end of May. So all our rates outstanding, they're not increasing significantly over time. We are managing them, and we are looking to move pension planning processes forward to get rid of some of the larger balances that make up a large portion of that outstanding amount for a few properties. But yes, it should come down, but time it's hard to say actually.
Almost finished this month.
Well, it's because of when it may actually go up, as the last quarter didn't actually fall due until June. So it's the overdue amount at the end of May. So the actual overdue amount as at the end of June may actually go up for the current year. But yes, we're definitely tracking in line with the year before.
Which leads me to my next question. What about the outstanding debts that we've got previous years? When do we intend to start recovering on that?
Yeah, so we're actually in line with the council resolution from late last year, where we are looking to bring section 184 processes along. They have started. It's just one of those things that needs to move along, but we have been having some action on it.
Okay, thank you.
And one final question, from my point of view on the audit committee, contingent liabilities at 30 June. Have we started considering any contingent liability?
There may be some contingent things to report, whether it's a liability or an asset. Obviously, we've got some legal matters around an oval that we need to be considered at year end, where that's sitting at that point in time. That's the only one that
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Actually, Councillor Stupos has stolen one of my questions, but it shows, and we haven't compared notes, but my question was going to be, with almost $600,000 in outstanding rates from the 166 properties from 2018, 19 and earlier, what can we do and what are we doing to recover a substantial part of the debt? Now, we've talked about certain actions previously about outstanding debt. What can we do to make sure we start getting some of that?
Yes, certainly. So I will say that often a lot of our debt results from a small number of properties, and we know about those properties, and we are looking to progress on them. But we did get some when we first started the Section 184 process. The wish is always that you'll get that action without council actually having to settle the property up. We did get some of those. We're about to action a few more in the next couple of weeks, and hopefully we'll get some action from the banks on those ones as well. But we are getting quotes on moving forward sale action on some. So,
Can we keep be updated on that regularly then, please?
Councillor Marshall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. With the variable loans and the fixed loans, obviously variable loans, they're going to start increasing. Have you factored in or is there an estimate there of what they're likely to be, both fixed and variable? Obviously, our debt reservicing is going to increase because of interest rate.
Certainly. So we've always been a bit risk averse on that and how I build a long-term financial plan. So we've built in increases every year over the plan up to about 6.5%. We expect that will show us higher than that. But yes, we've definitely built in interest rate rises over the coming year. So obviously having those fixed portions will even out how quickly that happens for us as our average interest rate, but no sense we have to put that into the
Thank you. Right, okay, so Councillor Knox, are you moving that? Certainly, go ahead.
I'll make a statement. On page 91 under financing activities, we have nothing at all in there for repayment of principal.
Our treasury management policy is to only have advanced potential loans, so we don't pay back in any given year. We either borrow or we pay back loans. We don't do both. So basically, our loans are our cash flow item. We don't have principal and interest loans. We have interest only loans that are on call. So we can pay them back on any given day when we will reduce the value of our loans. So we don't have basically any cash in our bank account. And so this here is the net movement in the loans over the year, but there will be movements throughout the year up and down on all of our loans. And cash on hand.
Okay, so I'm looking for a mover, please. This recommendation. Councillor Stupos and Councillor Santuzzi seconded it. Thank you. And show of hands, all those in favour. Thank you, Councillor Simpson. Right, that's great. Now, I'm going to ask for just leave of meeting procedures. I would like to bring forward a couple of the items before we get to the annual business plan budget adoption, please. I'd like to bring forward 13.2.4 fees and charges register 22-23, as well as the 13.341 childcare centre fees 22-23. Can someone move that? Thank you, Councillor Knox. Seconded, Councillor Santucci. Show of hands. Thank you. That's carried. Thank you. So we'll go to 13.2.4 fees and charges register for 22-23 on page 204. Thank you. To go to that one there. Thank you. I don't know, would any staff would take this as being read, or was any comments from staff in regards to this?
In fact, it's read.
I take it as read. Yeah.
Tons of questions.
Yeah, are there any questions? That's straightforward. Thank you.
Just
Sorry, Councillor Knox. Yes.
one point really annoys me, but can we get the right spelling of hanger? It's got an ER, not an AR.
Yep, thank you. Feel free to email that through before. Okay, so thank you for that. If there's no other comments or questions, I'll ask someone to move that, please. Thank you, Councillor Stupos, and Councillor Marshall has seconded that. Show of hands, all those in favour? Excellent, that's carried. Okay, we'll go to 13.3.1, the childcare centre fees for 22-23 on page 230. All right. So we have appropriate staff here if there are any questions. I'll ask, is there any questions before we get this recommendation? We have discussed this on several occasions. As councillors are not showing them any questions, I'll ask for a mover, please, for this particular recommendation. Thank you. Councillor Stupos. Seconded, Councillor Santucci. Thank you. I'll ask for a show of hands. All those in favour? Thanks, that's carried. We will now move on to ordinary meeting procedures now as such. Continue with 13.2.3 page 101, the 22-23 annual business plan and budget adoption and debate declaration. There's quite a few recommendations to go through on this. So I'll ask at first if there are any questions. And then we'll. We have discussed this in lunch. Okay. So are there no questions from any of the councillors in the room? Thank you. Okay. Right. Well, then we will now proceed through the recommendations. Recommendation 1 is there. I will take it. I won't read the whole thing out, but it's up on the screen for you. Anyone that wants to read that. Would someone like to move this recommendation? Councillor Stupos, and seconded Councillor, Councillor Marshall, and then secondly Councillor Stupos. Thank you. No discussions on debate. Ask for a show of hands. All those in favour? That's carried. Recommendation 2. On the screen. And I'll ask someone to move that recommendation. Are you ready? Councillor Stupos is moving that, and Councillor Simpson seconding. Thank you. Show of hands. All those in favour? That's carried. Recommendation 3 is there on the screen. I'll ask for Councillor Marshall's moving that. Yes. Okay.
Total valuations are the final
Yes.
figures.
Yes, and we'll just note that they have changed very slightly from last weekend by about 48,000. We had one final change to evaluations this morning. So there's some changes to this recommendation and a very slight change to the business rate development. One change to make everything balance.
So the numbers that are on the screen are the final.
That's right, it's slightly different.
Not the ones that are in your plan.
Yes, it's on the screen. That's right. Because that was mentioned in the report.
Yes,
That would be
anything
updated
higher.
if required.
Yeah, anything highlighted yellow now up here when you see it on the screen is the stuff that has changed.
Thank you for that. Thank you. So, councillor Marshall has moved that and councillor Knox has seconded that.
I have a question.
So you have a question? Okay, thank you.
Okay, the question is, what is the change in the valuations from the previous year?
Oh, yep, sorry, that was in the reports. The change overall was 4.7% in site value valuations. 2 seconds and I'll tell you the difference between.
Maybe acceptable ones, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that's the overall change. There was a slight, business went up slightly higher than residential, but it's not too consistent. It's been sort of 4 or 5% most property types. A very small level of primary production, maybe up about 20%, but
For that, councillor Knox. Thank you very much. So we have councillor Marshall has moved the recommendation. Would someone second that, please? Councillor Knox. Okay, that's fine. A show of hands, all those in favour? I just ask if you can please use your microphone, because it makes it easier to follow you smoothly and seconded. Thank you. Right, go to recommendation 4. Ocean general rates. Someone like to move this recommendation?
Yes,
Councillor Stupos, thank you. Can I have a seconder, please? Deputy Mayor Stone, thank you. So show of hands, all those in favour? That's carried. Recommendation 5. It is a very detailed. Discharges. Councillor Knox, are you moving that? Thank you. Can I have a seconder, please, councillors? Councillor Santucci, thank you. Show of hands, all those in favour? Thanks. Recommendation 6, rate caps for primary residences. Would you like to move that? Someone like to move that, please? Deputy Mayor Stone, seconded councillor Stupos, thank you. Discussions about a show of hands, all those in favour? Recommendation 7. Declaration of separate rates and regional landscape levy. Councillor Simpson's moving that, Councillor Stupos is seconding that, thank you. Have a show of hands, please. Thank you. That's okay. That is item 7 on the rates. Thank you. Recommendation 8.
Can I ask a question on that? We did discuss taking that to the LGA to try and stop councils having to collect that money, because it always looks bad to us. I'm just wondering whether we had a response to that. They not back.
Through the mayor, I believe it was not back, but I'll take that question on notice and provide a response.
That is a good question, and it is a comment that's made by other councillors. It's not just you. Thank you. So, recommendation 8, declaration of service charges. May someone move that, please? Councillor Simpson, second of councillor. Thank you. Show of hands, all those in favour? Thank you, it's carried. Recommendation 9, rating policy. Council document policy dated for June 2022. Moving that, Councillor Knox. Sorry, Councillor Stupos, thank you. Thank you. Those in favour? Yeah. Recommendation 10, rate rebates. Thank you. That's moved by councillor Marshall and seconded by Deputy Mayor Stone. Thank you. It is important to know that we do offer that support to members of the public. Thank you. Show of hands, all those in favour, that's carried. Thank you. And recommendation 11, sorry, rebate of rates general cap, sorry. Councillor Marshall, you moving that? Thank you. Councillor Santuzzi, thank you. Thanks. Show of hands, all those in favour? Thank you, that's carried. Recommendation 12, the waste management remission of service charges. Thank you. Moving that. Councillor Knox, seconding that. Thank you. Show of hands, all those in favour? Excellent, that's carried. Recommendation 13, payment of rates. Councillor Knox is moving that and Deputy Mayor Stone seconding that. Thank you. In favour? That's carried. Recommendation 14, loan borrowings is there. Councillor Marshall, thank you, is moving that. And a seconder, please. Councillor Santuzzi. Can I have a show of hands? That's carried. Okay, thank you for that. Yep, sure.
I'd just like to take the opportunity to acknowledge the work that both staff and councillors have put into the annual business plan and budget. It's always a challenging exercise, but I think the quality of the reporting, the quality of the community consultation has increased over the last couple of years, and I think staff and councillors should be commended for the improvements that have been made. So just wanted to acknowledge that.
I might be also just to mention just a brief summary of the community consultation and how effective that was. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think the sessions we had again, the focus group sessions, are probably the best, the best part of consultation, because we get a really good cross section of community in. Obviously, it's hard to attract members of the community along, but that might suggest that I think that the business plan is reasonable. It's hard to say. We've definitely offered lots of methods, lots of avenues for people to be involved, and there's a potential that people have been involved without us really knowing. Justin put a video up on the website of the whole presentation, so I think there's videos of that more than we get on to the session itself. So I think more people do see it than we probably know about. But also I think we offered even more avenues this year, and we've probably got slightly less people along. So I definitely think the focus group sessions that we've done the last few years are very valuable. We get really good conversation out of that, and I think that they're that they are picked from the a cross section of the community, and so so it's we would hope that some of the views we're getting out of there are sort of representative of what council are doing services. So yeah, there's more, but I think we're
Thank you. Deputy Mayor, did you want to say something?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd certainly like to follow on there and commend the staff for the efforts they put in, firstly with the consultation, but the detail in the reports is quite obvious to anybody that reads them. There's a lot of work that's going on behind the scenes, and I really do appreciate that and commend it, because often that time people don't give much time for, they don't really think about it. But I do commend them for the quality of the reports and the efforts that have gone in. And at the end of the day, we can only lead the horse to water.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Stupos.
As you know, I'm a treasurer. I'm moving to the Alexandrina Council. I went to their meeting the other night just to compare. They have only just finished their business opening it up for public consultation for 7 days. So yeah, they're pushing it through, pushing it through pretty late as well from memory. So it was an interesting exercise. I think ours has done a lot.
Thank you. Yeah, so thank you to all staff for the work and the councillors as well. Thank you. Right, we're now moving on to item 13.3.2, the memorial policy, community consultation outcomes and endorsements. We have discussed this detail. So, Councillor Knoxine, moving that, thank you. And that.
Yes, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Feedback from comments. Yes, it's good. Thanks to the staff for their work in regards to this particular. Right, so I can move into second, I'll ask for a show of hands. That's carrying. Thank you. Right. Item 13.4, city infrastructure, there is no reports this evening. Item 14.1, my list of engagements. Thank you. So it is obviously a busy month. And I just want to make some, just a quick mention. We will be bringing a report to the councils in regards to some details around our trip to the ALPA conference and National Assembly, and obviously some meetings we've had with some federal ministers when we were over there. But just a brief summary, I would say that it was a very successful trip for the Whyalla City Council. I felt that the engagement we received from the federal government was very positive, and they were very supportive of the documentations and reports that we took there to revise them and highlight our plan for the city for the next 10 years or so. And I would say that I found that the government were very engaging with the importance of the local government sector nationally, which was very refreshing to see, and they're looking to support councils across the country, I think very well. And so I came away feeling confident that it's going to be a good relationship, obviously, between federal government and the local government sector. And yes, so apart from that, any questions, please, from any of my councillors? Thank you. And so I would ask for a mover there. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Stone, and seconder. Thank you, Councillor Marshall. Thank you. Hands all those in favour? Thank you, that's carried. Notices of motion, there are nil. Questions on notice, there are nil. Questions without notice, Deputy Mayor.
Madam Mayor, I have one question, but if I could just make a comment first on a separate matter. I'd also like to commend the actions that I've seen on getting on top of our roadside verges and footpaths. I do follow up, and I'm most impressed at some of the worst areas that I've seen before. You can see that we're starting to get on top, and actually you can see where the crews have perhaps finished today to go on tomorrow. So I'd like to commend those and hope that it is something we can keep seeing, because it is an issue out in the community. But I'd just like to make that comment publicly that the efforts are noticed, and thank you. Now my question, Madam Mayor. When will the report be presented to Council in regards to the urgent actions required to provide genuine disabled access to Bennett Oval and the Maritime Museum? I will refrain from making comments that I would normally make to express my total frustration that 2 years after it was upgraded, that the disabled access toilet is still not accessible by people it was designed for, because we still do not have access from the car park. Now that report has been coming for a long time. When will it be here, please?
Thank you, Kristen.
Through the Mayor, thank you for the question. While I wrestle with the date, I guess from a process point of view, what we have done is we had assets and planning managers start with us in February. And one of their tasks was to take the DDA compliance reports that we had done for 5 buildings and to break those requirements down into items that we could action from an operational budget point of view, and also to detail the items that could only be addressed via capital projects. Unfortunately, that manager role is now empty, and that role has been empty since then. We have got consultants in to look at Memorial and Bennett and to look at the requirements there that will help us determine what the full suggestions for capital fixes will be that will help bring both of those ovals up to a DEA compliance perspective. At this stage, I'm probably unable to give a hard date that I know that I could confidently work towards. But there has been work progressing in terms of trying to break the list down into operational and then also capital so that we can start to address them.
Maybe supplementary comment. We're very happy to share the DDA compliance audit report that's been done. The part of the reason we haven't done it is I think it's something like 150 pages in length, and it's quite repetitive, and it's also at quite a detailed level. So to be able to aggregate that up and say, this is how much money needs to be invested, and this is the program of work for the respective buildings and locations, because that also included the Maritime Museum and Visitor Information Centre. So given that we have been slow in bringing it to council, what's the reasonable time frame? About taking that report and putting it into a format that's
yeah, I guess it's going to be time to break it down, and then it's going to be to cost it. There's a fair bit of work there. It gets into all of the access doorways, benches.
I think through there, obviously given the conversation that we're having here at officer level, can we take this on notice and we'll provide a response by the end of this week as to what would be a reasonable time frame to bring something that is of use to inform council's decision making, so that you can have some line of sight as to when that will be furnished with councillors.
Right, so we'll expect that by the end of the week. Deputy Mayor, by the end of the week.
I won't make any further comment, Madam Mayor, otherwise you might have to issue me a code of conduct.
Right, Councillor Knox.
Okay, I've got 2. The first one is, I don't know who's responsible for maintaining the grandstand at Bennett Oval, whether it's us or the footy league. But I attended the big bash they had there, Cricket Association. And the grandstand itself was pretty filthy, wasn't it? I think birds and stuff everywhere and just needed a good clean up. So we've got a couple of important footy matches coming up. So I'd just like to make sure that before then, we do make sure that it's spick and span.
Thank you.
Okay, and the other thing is, I have sent an email about this, but I haven't got a response. But we are retailing fuel at the airport. Why are we not complying with the state government's requirements to have those fuel prices on the various apps?
I will provide a response through the mayor if I could get Manager of Finance to respond to that one. Thanks.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, so thanks for we have followed that up today. So the process was that last year, Consumer and Business Services was actually responsible for contacting everyone who was responsible for reporting and getting them registered on the system. So we were obviously an oversight, I believe. So, and there's that now no mechanism on their website to register or find out who needs to register. So I have made contact with them by their online form to find out what we need to do. So, but yes, we received no contact from DES, and that's the mechanism on their website.
That will be done.
Thanks, councillor Knox. Councillor Marshall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Not a question, but just a thank you. Finally, the roadworks and civil works are all finished on Wallach Terrace, Wall Street, and Jamison Street. It's been a long, long process, but very happy with the outcome. So I know it was a bit difficult finding someone who wanted to tackle that job. I have seen that they also replaced the drain, the flooding area. So we'll just wait and see what happens when we have a substantial rain. I'm hoping I've actually seen them replace all of that drainage there outside of the Whyalla Town Primary, outside of the out of school hours care building. So I'm very hopeful because it really was a major flooding problem. But the bitumen, everything is actually looking fantastic. Really, really happy. They've done a great job. The spoon drain is very minimal now, so not causing any problems for traffic because it is a very high traffic area. So well done. Well done.
Good, thanks, councillor Marshall. Councillor Stupos.
I'll go back to the fuel. What fuel do we retail here?
So we actually, because of the grant funding we received to install the Bowsers there, they do actually have to be available to the public. So we don't advertise it, but it has to be accessible by the public, and it is. So it's a diesel and a fuel pump. They're actually installed for our council vehicles, and also we sell the fuel to the hire companies at a markup, the car hire companies that use the airport. So they're the main users, but there is an option on there to swipe your credit card and pay for it. So we have a pricing mechanism where we add the average margin of fuel as set by the ACCC. They produce a report once a year, and we put the margin on top of it. We don't advertise it. It's just, if you were going to turn right into the car park, keep going straight and they're on there.
Is it cheaper?
I'm going to fill their car up with avgas.
Thanks, councillors. We'll move on. Thank you. Motions without notice, they are completed. Thank you. Motions without notice, there are none. Item 19, consideration of confidential items. So I think at this point we will have a break, and then we will come back into the meeting to enter the confidential section. So thank you very much. Need a mover and seconder for that. Thank you, Councillor Simpson. Councillor Santuzzi seconded that. And a show of hands, all those in favour, thank you. Okay, we have taken the break now at 6:27 p.m. Thank you, and we will re-adjourn in 15 minutes. Thank you, everyone. So we will now recommence our council meeting. We're now moving into confidential, so I will be asking someone to move that to do so, please. Deputy Mayor Stone and seconded Councillor Marshall. Thank you. A show of hands. All those in favour? Right, thank you. That's carried. We will now cease the live streaming to the public, and we will go into confidential. We will resume at the end of confidential to finish up the meeting. So thank you. Everyone just wait while administration makes that happen. Thank you. So we're now resuming our normal ordinary council meeting with the matter confidential. So thank you for that, councillors. Right, we're closing the meeting at 7:40 p.m. and there's the dates of the next meeting. We have one next week.
There's also an audit committee meeting as well.
Yes, on the 18th.
Right. Yep. diary that I've got of the four.
I think there is one actually. Right, let's just have-
Order committee, 80.
And we will be discussing at the special council meeting, and also there is a briefing session combined that evening. That will be meeting, we're talking about some of the buildings that will be confidential. We'll also have presentation and discussion with RDA, CEO, which you haven't met yet. Should be good, and also potentially any other presentations that we've requested. Hopefully we can slot that into that.
Just a question, will the CEO be at the special part of the meeting or just a briefing session?
It will be the briefing session. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of your night.
Next week.
And thank you for everyone that's been involved in the meeting online as well. Thank you, everyone.